The following is a presentation of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. This is episode number 9. I am Andrew Rogers, your host, and thank you once again for joining me. It's great to be back with you guys once again. Hope everybody's doing well. Good things are coming in terms of the world and the pandemic and this crazy COVID lifestyle and COVID life. One that has gone on for, I think everyone can agree, way too long, but hopefully, good times are on the horizons and good things ahead. So, keep the faith, keep your head up, and we'll get through this like we have been to this point. Like I said, it's great to be back with you guys once again. Episode number 9, Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. It's great to be back with you guys once again. If you want to find us on social media, here are the links. Of course, you know where to find us if you don't already. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're all over it, as well as you can find us on, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel to get all your podcast updates. And also, guys, make sure if you want to go to the Western Ontario Super Hockey League website, that's www.woshl.com. You can find everything about the league, all its happenings. You can also find the links to all the teams' websites. And if they don't have any already, they will be up and coming. So make sure you guys follow everybody along on their social medias and to get all the latest information. Speaking of that, we're really excited. This week's episode, we invite on the show a great friend of mine, a friend of the show, you could say, but he's a great dude and great ambassador of this game, and he's one of the newest committed announcement players for the Alvinston Killer Bees. His name is Tyler Ryan, and we get to talk to Tyler a little bit about Alvinston and his take on this league and his expectations. So we're really looking forward to having him on. I'm going to introduce him shortly. But like I said, guys, it's great to have you guys with us for another edition of the podcast. I thank you very much for your support with all of this in terms of watching and keeping us entertained with us. I hope you guys do find it enjoyable and informative and entertaining and all of those things. So like I say, without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest at this time from the Alvinston Killer Bees, defenseman Tyler Ryan. All right, we are pleased to be joined on this week's edition of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast from the Alvinston Killer Bees, the player rep, defenseman Tyler Ryan. Great friend of the show as well. Him and I go way back. It's great to see you again, Tyler, and welcome to the podcast, pal.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Hey, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. You're looking well. The beard's in mid-season form, so that's awesome. How are things going? Tell us, I guess, you're one of the latest commitments to the Alvinston Killer Bees. Kind of, I guess, give us an idea how that all kind of come about for you.
Well, I guess Sean and Jamie had talked about the team coming into the league and stuff in the first place. Me having played for Sean years ago when he was with Godrich.
Okay. He
reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in being a part of the team, being the player rep, playing for the team, and making this happen, like making it help make it grow and be be a positive thing for the league.
Right.
And the community, of course. But
so like when you first kind of heard about this league, like what kind of stood out in the pitch of this league? Like what do you, like, if you had to look at it on a whole and you say, okay, pick a thing that really stands out to the excitement part of this?
Well, the community involvement, really.
Okay.
Like a lot of the teams that I've played for in the past, they didn't really have a whole lot of community involvement. There was, like the Santa Claus parade was about it. Like they didn't really do anything. And even for games, like the most you get was like a 50-50 or something.
Sure.
Where they didn't have much involvement with the fans or the community themselves.
Right. And then in terms of there's no question if anybody knows you, they know you're a journeyman in terms of playing for a lot of teams over your hockey career. I guess what was it about Alvinston in particular that said, okay, this is going to be a really good a good environment and a good experience for me, Tyler Ryan?
Well, Sean specifically, like Sean, the way he came to me about it, and the history that we have together kind of led me, well, it's close to home. It's like half-hour drive or something like that from where I'm currently living in Sarnia.
Right.
And, I know the majority of the places, the teams, and where I'm going to be going. So, it was kind of an easy decision versus driving an hour and a half for a home game.
Right.
So it was, a lot of it had to do with Sean though. Like he's, pretty persuasive when it comes to, come help me out, sweeten the pot.
Right. And obviously, what do you gather from Sean? As the guy, he's kind of obviously wearing a lot of hats with the team. Like as a player rep, like what does that actually really mean at the end of the day? Like, are you like a player coach, like Reggie Dunlop's slap shot, or like what? Like what does that mean as a player rep? Like if for people who don't know.
That's actually a joke between the board of directors. So our first meeting, that was thrown at me right off the hop was that I was the Reggie Dunlop.
I can see that.
For me specifically, like any questions or concerns for the players themselves, they would come to me. If I don't have the direct answer for them, I could reach out to Sean or somebody else in the board that would have a better answer or have the right answer, and then I could relay that back to them.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to like a disciplinary action or anything like that, that's got nothing to do with me. It's like all Sean.
Right.
So mainly I'm here for the players. I'm just kind of the face of the players for our team. Just like I said, like any questions and concerns.
Now, in terms of obviously we've seen some of the other teams in the league announce different player commitments. Obviously, I think that adds a whole lot of excitement to this league and gives it a lot of validity because it's like, okay, this is really happening. This is going to be exciting. We can actually put some faces to the uniforms and everything else. Like, speak a little bit about that process for Alvinston and how that's been going so far.
Well, I know for us, we've got I think 8 guys committed right now.
Okay.
As we're slowly releasing names.
Right.
They are on our website, but we're, like you're saying, putting the face to the name as we go here.
Right.
For the players themselves, on the other teams, it's amazing to see the names, the faces, the backgrounds of players, and just the whole outlook of how this is all coming together is unbelievable. Like it's mind blowing.
Do you think that because what I find really interesting is obviously there's no question that there's a lot of WOA influence in this league in terms of players anyways, if you want to take it from that angle, especially when you got 2 teams coming over in Elora and Tillsonburg, which is going to be really exciting, especially for a guy in your position. I was talking with Matt LaBerge. He's a former Tillsonburg Thunder, and we were speaking a little bit about rivalries and how interesting it would be to go up against former teammates. Can you speak a little bit about that? Like how exciting that's going to be for you to lace them up against teams and players that you've played against in the past?
Well, I mean, I played for Elora a few years ago. So to know.
And no question that you know those guys, Mitch and Rich.
Yeah. Rich and Mitch they're treats. They're definitely something else. But that roster specifically, like I know a lot of the guys, there are some new faces to me, but even the guys that they have, I know they're going to be a strong competitive team.
Right.
Same with Tillsonburg. Like they've got probably pretty well the same roster that they've had for the last couple of years, but that team's always been a competitive team.
Of course.
So playing against those guys, I mean, it's nothing really new to me. Some of the newer faces on our roster, the guys that aren't really familiar with Tillsonburg and Elora, they're in for a mind-opeing experience here. Like, they're not going to be a cakewalk of any kind for sure. So, like Matt had actually said in the past, because of him playing with Tillsonburg, he has an understanding and a level of experience to what to expect, where I can completely relate to that. So I understand where Matt's coming from, having the rivalries. Again, Alvinston and Strathroy, they're like 20 minutes apart.
Of course.
Gonna probably happen. There's almost a no doubt that that's gonna happen.
That's gonna be fun.
I could see even, like Strathroy and maybe Tilsonburg, or, Strathroy and Stratford being a good rivalry, where Alvinston, the closest place is Strathroy.
Got it.
But could we get a rivalry with, say, Elora? Absolutely. Could we get one with Langton? For sure.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really interesting when it comes to the 6 teams, because obviously you're going to play each other a few times. And you could kind of sort of compare it to the Scotiabank North Division in a sense. I mean, 24 games, you're not going to play each team 10 times, but I think you'll play enough of them in at least the regular season to make the playoffs really interesting. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, but the real question is, who's going to be the Maple Leafs of the WSHL?
Well, hold on now. Let's. Okay, all right, that's a fair question. Well, let's just hope that they perform better in the playoffs when it kind of comes to, right? I mean, we can debate that all day long. But,
oh yeah.
Like, is there anything that kind of other than the community involvement, because that's going to be huge. I know one of the really interesting parts of this new league and this new vision is the idea of having games streamed. I think that's a huge thing for Jamie in this league, to have all the games streamed and a huge social media following. Is there an added excitement with that possible, like with that element of it, because knowing that you're going to go out there and that there's going to be even more of a following than you've ever maybe had before?
Well, for some players, yeah, I could see that being kind of at least at the start of the year, kind of like a nerve-wracking for them. Like they know they've got, maybe if there's fans in the building, they've got the eyes on them to begin with.
Right.
But they're also in the back of their head knowing that they're being streamed. So people are going to pick away at the games. But for me, like, I've played on TV and stuff before, and it's
nothing new to you, right?
Yeah, it's nothing new to me, but I mean, it is the first couple times that you do it, it is really nerve-wracking. It is like completely throws you off your game if you're thinking about it too much.
Right.
Where for the league itself, absolutely, it's going to be huge, because you've got, like, well, in my case, I have my wife and my kids, where they're not always going to be able to come to the games. Could they live stream it and watch our games? Absolutely. My parents are the same way. Right. They can't make it all the time, and they'd love to watch the games. Throw it on the TV.
You just got to be careful you don't spend more time on the penalty box than on the ice, right, Tyler?
Yeah, my mom hates that.
Well, what mother doesn't, right? I mean, come on. Let's be honest. So, like, I mean, obviously, this is a really interesting league, too, because you got a lot of guys coming straight from juniors. So, like, obviously, guys that are chomping at the bit to get back to playing competitive hockey. A lot of guys that have gone quite a bit of time without playing any sort of competitive hockey, some longer than others. But it's really exciting in that aspect to see how these players are going to respond to this league. Is that something that you're interested, I guess, in seeing how that all plays out?
Well, yeah. I mean, the other player that we have committed that's been announced is Scott Case.
Right.
I know it's been a few years since he's really been in a competitive hockey role where it's contact and stuff.
Right.
More notably that I played against him in junior. So kind of handling that was cool.
Right.
But, you're going to get players like that where you have maybe an old rivalry of something where now your teammates and things work out, you click, or you get a new friendship or family member in another way.
Right.
But at the same time, those guys coming out of junior and they're ready to and chomping at the bit to play. So are the older guys. Right. And they're just like the older guys, like they're in the gyms, they're working and doing all their daily routines and stuff to also be able to better themselves for when we get the okay to play.
Right.
We're all going to be ready to go, and maybe the first couple games of the season might be a little slow and kind of sloppy, but by the end of the year, you're going to have fast, really competitive hockey where games are going to go one way or the other.
Right. It's going to be a lot of fun just to see how it kind of all starts off. I mean, yeah, like you say, there could be a little rust at the beginning and feeling out process. But man, is it ever going to be exciting to watch these teams duke it out? No question about that. Is that kind of what fuels you to play this game? I mean, you've been playing for as long as you could probably remember, since you were old enough to hold a hockey stick. Like, what is it that keeps you coming back and it keeps you motivated to play at a competitive high level?
Well, my body can handle it. So the love of the sport itself.
I can't say the same, Tyler. So I get it.
Well, my kids like watching the games and stuff, and I love being out in the ice. And with my dad worked at the arena 5 minutes down the road from where I grew up.
Right.
So I got to always be out in the ice whenever there was ice, or if he played, I'd be on the ice right after his games. And, I was always doing something hockey related, and it's always something that I want to do.
Right.
So, you get older and stuff, you get into your career paths and whatnot, but as long as you can kind of balance your work life, your home life, and your sport life, why not?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you seem like you're a pretty competitive guy. So obviously playing in a competitive league like this, as opposed to just a rec shinny type of situation, is just out of the question. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I still would play like men's league and stuff like that through seasons, just to kind of stay on the ice between weeks of playing and practices and stuff. But I mean, my buddies that can't quite play that competitive level still are playing, so I still play with them.
Right.
So, I mean, not that men's league's not easier, I guess you could say.
Right.
It's just it's more of a fun aspect. You get out with the boys and you have fun.
It's more for conditioning purposes then.
Yeah, but also, you're able to skate freely without kind of looking over your shoulder for Mark Scheifele.
Right, I understand that. Right. Fair enough. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that in men's or in shinny hockey anyway. They don't play a lot of defense there either. I think that's another huge gaping difference.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Alvinston, obviously, you guys have announced a golf tournament. Do you want to give us some details on that?
For right now, from what I'm on the understanding, we have July 17th in Arkona at Arkona Fairways there.
Yep.
Gonna be $100 a player.
Okay.
$100 a player, 400 a team. We get the 18 holes. You get a lunch or dinner depending on the time of your tee time.
Right.
And there'll be an online auction.
Cool.
And a ticket for team merchandise.
Nice. Yeah, and I've seen the merchandise.
I forget what exactly it was, but yeah.
Yeah, and like the merchandise is unbelievable. The jersey's sick too.
Yeah, I walking in, like I saw the mock-ups of them, which they were pretty cool. They looked on like cool as a mock-up.
Right.
But to see the real thing blows your mind.
Oh, I can't imagine.
It's ridiculous. Like we over at our sponsor Teresa Chalmers, she's got Limitless Photography.
Right.
So when we go into the studio to get our pictures taken for our stuff, she has both jerseys there, the yellow and the black. So we kind of get the view of both,
right? But
we know which one we're putting on for the photos. But it's like to see both jerseys. I can't wait to put it on. I can't.
And obviously, like a lot of that credit goes to Mitch Scott from Starting Lineup Uniform and Apparel. He's like the official guy for for all the merchandise in the league. I know for Stratford, he's handling theirs as well. Like the kind of stuff that he comes up with is just beyond imaginable thought. Like it's just it's remarkable, obviously.
Yeah, you give him the freedom to play with his mind and throw something together, and the stuff comes out amazing every time.
Right. Now obviously is there anything upcoming for Alvinston throughout the course of the summer that you can touch on before the season starts? Like, are you guys doing any planned events besides the golf tournament at this point?
Well, we're waiting on the clearance for COVID.
Sure.
But we're aiming to do a ball hockey tournament.
Okay, that would be cool.
Whether it's indoor or outdoor, like we're going to be talking to the arena.
Okay.
We're hoping to have it indoor, and it'll be 2 divisions of 6 teams each, and you'll get your 3 games guaranteed. I believe we were talking about the top 2 teams in each division get a bye into the semis. The bottom 4 teams fight it out to play the top 2, so on.
Right.
And then it'd be like a cash purse at the end.
Oh, cool.
Different prices for the higher level gets higher amount, lower level gets lower amount, but you still get a cash prize.
Nice. Oh, that sounds cool.
It's still up in the works. Where like I said, we're waiting for COVID and getting the okay and to do it. We've got some teams that have talked to me about the interest and wanting to play in it once cleared. So
cool, man.
Other than that, like we're thinking, maybe like a karaoke night or something during
karaoke.
It. Yeah. So we're
come
thinking,
on, Tyler, are you doing karaoke, please?
Oh, it wouldn't be me. I'm not one to sing.
Oh, come on.
I might, I would be there, but I wouldn't be one to sing.
So you're telling me if one of your teammates didn't pick up a song and say, "Hey, Tyler, you're up next, buddy," what would they pick, man? What would they pick? Come on, what? Fighter?
I don't even know. Probably Hockey Night in Canada or something.
Oh yeah. You just be up there beatboxing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But what we were thinking is maybe like we have the tournament run through the day, and then at night we have like a dance or a karaoke night or something.
Okay.
So kind of mix it together.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's cool, man. Right on. Very exciting. So hey, one of the questions I haven't done a whole lot of players on this podcast. It's been mostly management types or team execs or anything like that for now. In the beginning. The one player I did have was Andrew Bogdan from Stratford, and one of the questions that I was actually really looking forward to asking, because I wanted to get the backstory on it, was what is your hockey nickname? Like the one that you may have 20 of them because of all the teams you played for, but is there one that kind of sticks out that everyone knows you as? Is that's the one that defines Tyler Ryan? What's the nickname?
Well, I've always really only had one.
Okay.
Everybody's called me Tyrai.
Tyrai. All right.
Yeah, the kind of the first name last name combo.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of easy.
Is that like, do you remember who gave that to you, or is it just kind of always been an assumed one that you've kind of put the self-titled?
No, that started when I was like really young, like grade school young.
Right.
But then even like as I got older, the guys I meet, sometimes it just kind of happens. Like I don't even have to tell them, right? Like it happens.
Right.
So yeah, like actually like a buddy of mine that I play ball hockey with, Louis, he instantly, like we met and stuff, and it was instant, like Tyrai.
You just
can I call you Tyrai? He's the first thing he said to me here, kind of thing, right? Like, can I call you Tyrai? I said, yeah, I don't.
So obviously your reputation follows you wherever you go.
Oh yeah.
Not always a good thing, Tyler, but yeah, you get it.
So
that's awesome, man.
My dad tried to make it T. He tried to call me T, and I was like, no, it's not a thing. And the goalie for his team would call me T.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. But when my dad did it was like, no, it's not a thing. It's one thing when your goalie's doing it, but it's not a thing for you.
Of course, yeah, I got you. No, that's funny, man. We're talking with Tyler Ryan at the Alvinston Killer Bees here on the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast. So what is, like, can you even recall like the best hockey nickname you ever heard a guy have? Like, what was one of the best that stuck out for you? Like, man, that is awesome.
I don't know really. I've heard so many. There's none that really like jump at my mind, because a lot of them there's a lot that are actually pretty good and pretty funny.
Right.
But oh man.
There's probably some that you can't repeat on this podcast, right?
That too, yeah. Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Now, obviously, as a hockey player, there's many different influences that could come about. I mean, I've had you on a podcast prior. I know I've asked you this question before, but I think when it comes to asking players and talking to players, one of the burning questions, I guess, is if you could look back and say, okay, the reason I'm in hockey is for blank. Like, what is your inspiration? I guess, where did it all kind of start for you?
Well, like I said, with my dad working at the arena and playing, pretty well every night that my dad's team would play, if I skated afterwards, either my dad or somebody else from his team would kind of stick around and give me something different to learn and kind of work into my game as I got older and stuff every night. And Carol McPherson, is she's basically like a hockey guru down here. Like she's got her power skating down here, and I was in her power skating classes for at least a couple of years, I believe. And just going through the power skating with her alone brought a whole different level to my game.
Cool.
The ability of, skating faster and quick stops and the agility and everything was huge there.
Right.
But getting the ability to work on that, having my dad work at the arena and everything, and getting the extra ice time, it made everything that much better.
Awesome. That's really cool, man. That's a great answer. Fantastic. So last thing, I'll give you the opportunity. Anyone who's going to watch this podcast, anyone who's going to come across it, if they want to find the Killer Bees, like we're on social media, where can they go? If they, I guess, and then if they want to join, what is the pitch to them to come and join the Killer Bees for this upcoming season? Take it away.
Well, we're always looking. If you want, reach out, either to myself or the team page. You can reach out to Sean himself, Sean Dickey. You can find us on Facebook, Alvinston Killer Bees. We've got a website, the Alvinston Killer Bees hockey.com. Instagram, pretty much every social media page has something on it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Right on. Hey, that's cool, man. Like I say, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. It's been great having you on, and we look forward to coming down to Alvinston and seeing the Killer Bees this upcoming October. It should be a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this, pal.
Can't wait. Thank you.
This Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast is brought to you by Joe's Diner. Come and enjoy Joe's all-day breakfast, located at 155 Erie Street in Stratford. Call 519-272-9933. And by Locker Room Lager. Dump and chill and enjoy these suds with your squad. Visit postgamebrewingco.com for details. Once again, I want to thank Tyler for coming on and speaking with us on this week's edition of the Western Ontario Super Hockey League podcast, episode number 9. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for the podcast, Joe's Diner at 155 Erie Street in Stratford, as well as Locker Room Lager for Post Game Brewing Co. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring the podcast and putting this on for us. I want to thank our league president, Jamie Petrie, for all that he does and all the hard work that he puts forth to make all of this possible. And I want to thank you guys, the viewer, for continuing to watch and support us. We really do appreciate that. Make sure to tune in again next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. for the next podcast. We will have an announcement on that in the coming days as to who the next guest will be on the podcast. I am Andrew Rogers, the host, saying thank you very much for watching once again. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's gorgeous out there. Make sure to get out and take advantage of it. And we will see you next time on the podcast. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.